Ever get stuck in that loop of why, but why?
Yeah.
Why?
Wow.
Kids, right? I mean, it's awesome, but. So today we're diving into how to keep that love of learning going strong. We found 5 strategies that really resonated, all about nurturing those little explorers.
And what's cool is it's not about like forcing genius or anything. It's about tapping into something they already have, that
Yeah.
natural drive.
Totally. One thing that stood out to me was the idea of home as a learning environment. Not stuffy, but like life is learning.
Exactly. And that ties into curiosity as the foundation.
Yeah.
When a kid's curious, their brain's ready to soak things up. Think about it. Have you ever really learned something when you weren't even a little curious first?
No way. I'm way more likely to go down a rabbit hole if something grabs my interest. So, how do we spark that in our kids?
It's deceptively simple, but instead of shutting down the why questions, lean into them. Turn them into little investigations. Remember, those questions aren't meant to drive us bonkers, even if they do sometimes. It just means those brains are hungry for knowledge.
Makes me think of this time my nephew asked, "Why do cats have whiskers?" We spent the
Yeah.
whole afternoon on it. Turns out it's for navigation, spatial awareness. He still calls them super senses.
See? Simple question. Whole learning adventure. And it didn't require fancy gadgets either, which reminds me, providing access to resources is key.
Oh, for sure. But it's not about having every single educational thing, right? It's about what captures their imagination.
Right, not quantity, but quality. When you were a kid, what was it?
Honestly, give me a magnifying glass. I was set for hours. Backyard scientist, the whole bit.
There you go. Library card, few good books, time in nature, beats a house full of stuff they never touch. Oh, and speaking of things they watch, us. We're resources. Modeling that love of learning is huge.
Ah, so it's not just go learn, it's look at me learning, sort of.
Exactly. They're sponges picking up on everything. We get stoked about a documentary, geek out over a book that shows them learning's not homework, it's a lifelong thing.
Which reminds me of another point celebrating effort over achievement. We get so caught up in the end result, we forget the journey.
Right. So important to make that distinction for kids. We praise their effort, resilience, trying even when it's tough. That builds a growth mindset. Mistakes are okay, struggling's okay, it's all part of it.
This has been such a good reminder. It's about making learning part of life, not some big, scary thing.
And it doesn't need to be a chore. Like cooking, fractions, ratios, grocery store, math with the budget, bedtime stories, language skills, boon, hidden learning everywhere.
Suddenly it feels a lot more doable, you know? Okay, so to wrap up, here's a little something to think on. What's a question your kid asked recently that made you a little curious? What's one step to turn that into a learning adventure together? Because those little moments, that's where the lifelong love of learning starts.